We are live. Welcome back. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Blake Ruffinos. This is Are You Serious Sports? We hope that you guys are making it a good one. We know that we are as well. Huge show in store for you tonight. A lot to get into. We have not been live since Wednesday. We've done some Twitter spaces, but we have not been live in this holiday season. So a lot to get into in this big episode tonight. Ruffinos Rants, guys, I'm going to go off on one tonight. A lot of LSU fans are worried about NIL. And I'm not going to demean anybody. I'm not going to curse at anybody. So I hope I don't. I mean, at least I hope I don't. But I think every LSU fan needs to understand something. That this is LSU. And there's a lot of fear-mongering out there that we're going to address. So you're going to want to stay in store for that as we lead off the show with that. Mike Denbrock, also in Matt House. Does LSU have their coordinators in place? Some reporting right before the show says Mike Denbrock might not be your next offensive coordinator. We will touch on that. LSU basketball, as Will Wade says, boot the F up, baby. We'll talk on some little LSU basketball. Let's look into Kansas State, too, as we're getting close, ever so closer to the LSU bowl game, and the Saints blank Tom Brady. Absolutely blank Tom Brady. In what was one of the better games defensively that I'd seen, really, for the Saints ever since, last year, when they patty smacked the hell out of the Bucs and Tom Brady. Tom Brady held scoreless for the first time since Nick Saban was with the Miami Dolphins. Very, very nice. Very, very, very nice. All right. A lot to get into. A lot to get into tonight. Let's get to a couple comments before we get started. Peter Smith says, let's Lego. James Washington says, it is go time. That it is. Lamar Williams says, shout out to the Saints defense. Absolutely. Luca on YouTube says, been waiting for this channel. I cannot get enough of it. I appreciate it. We're going to be continuing to go much more. Will says, we are live. That we are. All right, let's do this. Let's pay some bills. Let's do some things around here. We got a lot to get into tonight. Before we get started, as always, do us a favor by hitting the like and share. Share to some Facebook groups. Share to some social media platforms. Every social media platform you're on. We hope that you share those Facebook groups. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bell. Our YouTube channel is growing leaps and bounds, and we greatly appreciate everybody that subscribes to our YouTube channel. If you're listening to us on the podcast platform, don't forget to subscribe there as well. And if you're listening to us on Twitter, hit that retweet and follow button. We greatly appreciate it. So let's pay some bills around this thing, and then we'll get started. None better than our good friends over at GM Barnwell & Sons and betonline.ag. Guys, with 64 years of experience, nobody is better equipped to servicing your vehicle than GM Barnwell & Sons. RV repair, big rig overhauls, motorhome chassis, routine maintenance, tire rotations, tire sales. No job is too big or too small over at GM. Give them a call today at 225-664-9992. That's 225-664-9992. Or go see them over at 2500 Fuller Boulevard in Denham Springs, Louisiana. And our good friends over at betonline.ag. Guys, I've been telling you about BetOnline for such a long time now, about all the great things you can do in the state now with mobile betting. The best place to do it is BetOnline. Use the Believe 50 AYS podcast tab and get 50% back on your first deposit. That's betonline.ag. Betonline.ag. All right, let's get this thing rolling. Let's get this thing rolling, y'all. Let's get this thing rolling. Okay, we will get to the coordinators. Big weekend, too. For all you movie and Marvel buffs, Pooh Bear says, spoiler alert, Batman dies in the Spider-Man movie. Uh-oh. Spoiler alert. Massive spoiler alert. Anybody, we didn't just spoil it. Batman's not in the Marvel universe, just for everybody who's going to get mad. I know a lot of people will get mad. All right. Got to talk on this. Got to touch on this. Got a lot of comments flying in, and over the last couple of days, I've seen, especially since National Signing Day, have been seeing a lot of people freaking out about NIL. Now, we're going to go on this little rant here, and this isn't necessarily and specifically targeted at one person, because a lot of fans have had this fear. A lot of the media has had this fear. Really and truthfully, just a lot of people around LSU have, quote unquote, had this fear outside of LSU. If you haven't been wondering or haven't been monitoring or really seen anything, LSU did not have statistically or rankings wise the best class that they're normally used to having, being in the top 5 like they normally are. Actually, what happened was Texas A&M took over the number 1 class, followed by Alabama and Georgia. But the question you might be asking yourself, for some of you, and what some of you should be looking at, but some of you aren't, is Alabama and Georgia have been flip-flopping for the number 1 class, for the last 5 years. So of the top 3 and 4 guys in that top 5 that are there, Texas A&M is the one that actually comes up to the top for once. But everybody else, we knew that should have been there. But the only reason, which everybody keeps saying, that why Texas A&M is number 1 is because of NIL. It's because of LSU just saying, we're washing our hands of NIL. LSU is apparently behind the 8 ball when it comes to name, image, and likeness, right? It's interesting. Because in my mindset, I look at a program that is going to spend and has already started to spend $117 million on head coaches just this year alone. Now, not literally. They didn't literally pay out of pocket the $117 million yet, but they're paying Ed Orgeron $17 million to go to Destin and sit on the beach, and paying $100 million to Brian Kelly to come from South Bend down to Baton Rouge. But LSU is behind the 8 ball. They're so disorganized. Really? Everybody in here, please show me a show of your hands right now of you knowing the 100% specific deals that all of these kids have around the country. But Blake, Texas, the Texas football, the Longhorns are paying all of their offensive linemen money. Oh, wait. Texas compliance had to come out with a form and a memorandum saying that these offensive linemen, the Pancake Fund, they're having to go through compliance now to make sure that they're doing everything above board. So they come out and say, hey, we're going to pay all the offensive linemen $50,000 a year, but yet, you know what? We have to go through compliance to pay all the offensive linemen on Texas' team. American Top Team, an MMA organization, big around Miami, big boosters for the University of Miami, was doing something about the same. They went to compliance and they went to the NCAA, and guess what happened? It got shut down. So for everybody saying the only reason that kids are going to Texas A&M and Texas is because of NIL, you can't point out something specific that you can put your hands on that's tangible that kids have already been paid on. Do you mean to tell me that LSU is willing to spend $117 million, Derek Stingley getting walk-on steals, Miles Brennan getting Hollingsworth Richard Ford deals, and everything LSU has done financially for their football program, and they're falling behind? What was the thing that I kept hearing from all the fans and media over the last 2.5 months? When Ed Orgeron was fired, we trust Scott Woodward. The good thing about Scott Woodward is he's organized. Oh, so now he's disorganized because Denver Harris, a 5-star cornerback, goes to Texas A&M instead of LSU. If you actually do some sourcing behind it, yes, there was this theory that Denver Harris had not heard from LSU, but then we go back and we find out and we talk to people around LSU who went in home with Denver Harris, who had multiple contacts with Denver Harris. That's interesting. So if it's not NIL, and maybe some of it is, and LSU, Blake, LSU lost 3 wide receivers to Alabama. Interesting. You know, it's funny because when I look at every coaching change LSU's ever had in recruiting, Nick Saban only signed 13 recruits in his first year. Les Miles only served 14 commits in his first year. Oh, and wait, so did Brian Kelly. Do you really believe in your heart of hearts that LSU is behind on this when the first day that NIL was eligible, they had a billboard ready to go in Manhattan? The fear-mongering around LSU and what you hear from recruits out in the streets is not always the truth. The big thing about recruiting is that sometimes you can't trust what an 18-year-old kid is telling you or their families. Hell, when families have kids that are on the team, you can't fully trust them either. And shame on the media for fear-mongering LSU fans into believing that LSU didn't offer kids, and I say LSU, I mean a general term. I know LSU is not specifically giving out this money, but that boosters, wealthy boosters, don't want LSU to succeed. And what's even more ironic to me is that they're willing to spend $117 million for a coach, but $300,000 worth of name, image, and likeness money, they're like, fuck that, right? Screw that. Do you understand how stupid that sounds? What happens if LSU lands Harold Perkins, Jacoby Matthews, Danny Lewis, Trevante Citizen? Guys, you do realize you become, per 247 rankings, if those guys do commit and come to LSU, you do realize you get into the top 7. You're sitting there right at 7. Oh, and by the way, you're going to go back into the transfer portal. Oh, and then you're going to start eking your way up to number 5. So is it NIL or is it a coaching change? Don't let the media around here fearmonger you. They did it to Orgeron. They did it to Miles. They did it to Saban. Brian Kelly hasn't been here 3 weeks, and they're going to do it to him too. We don't have money. We don't have money, right? Corey Hayes says that O-line Texas NIL is unreal. F8-1-2022. They're still in compliance, y'all. You do realize that Texas came out. This is on their web. This is like something they released. Their compliance department is legitimately saying that they're still working through this. So is the University of Miami with American Top Team. Do you mean to tell me that college players for advertising is going to be making more than guys in the NFL? Chris English says Kelly signed 13 at the early signing period. Still got more kids coming in for sure. Well, I think they technically signed 14 with Miles Frazier, but you get what I'm saying. Alejandro Escobar, LSU went 6-6 and turning over a coaching staff. You will have attrition. Absolutely, you'll have attrition. And the biggest thing with all of this is there's also the fear-mongering, and we're going to get to the coordinators right after this, but there's still the fear-mongering of really, really talented LSU players. If you have, I wanted to not even use his name, but at this point, it doesn't matter because it's all over the place. And Kayshon Boutte. Guys, for the last 2 weeks, it has been known from many people that Kayshon Boutte is transferring. Kayshon Boutte's going to Alabama. LSU isn't doing everything humanly possible to make sure he stays. Now, I don't know about this, and I don't have all the sourcing on it, but I'm also not an idiot. I also see that Kayshon Boutte is at a Baton Rouge dealership getting a brand new car. I wonder how that NIL deal's going. Very interesting to me. But LSU is falling behind, though, right? Then Kayshon Boutte's camp and family, with very strong explicits, comes out and says, I'm the best source. We're not leaving. And then for 2 weeks, all you have is, you better pay him money. You better pay him money. It does not take two Rudy Poos to pick up this goddamn phone and figure out what's going on. I'm not trying to be rude here. Okay? But there does happen to be around LSU and all the drama that consists of it. Because, guys, we have drama as a university. We have drama as LSU fans. If you think that we don't, you're a buffoon. And it's constantly bam, bada bop, bada bop, bada bop. Constant drama. You know why programs like Alabama succeed? Do you want to know why programs, and you could say Clemson doesn't, but their worst year in 6 years is 9-3, is they don't have severe drama that surrounds their programs. When drama starts surrounding your program for media, players, etc., it's when shit starts going bad. Ask Urban Meyer. Ask Urban Meyer. Ask him at Florida. Ask him at Ohio State. Ask him in Jacksonville. Everybody would consider Urban Meyer as a really damn good coach. Whether he's got heart issues, brain issues, whatever kind of issues he's got, you would consider him as a really good coach. He wins a lot. Won multiple national titles at two different schools. 3 national titles total. But when chaos and drama start surrounding your program for media, players, etc., it's when you start having issues. Ask Ed Orgeron. So I sit back and I ask myself the specific question of, are we trying to dull up some fear-mongering that doesn't exist? Because I have a source inside that LSU football ops building who tells me, what do you mean we're not ready for NIL? What do you mean we're unorganized? We meet 3 times a week about name, image, and likeness and everything that goes on. He would know he's over it. I can't. It blows my mind. Blows my mind that every fucking coach that we have has to come with drama, and the man hasn't been here 3 weeks. 3 weeks. When does it stop? Talk about X's and O's. Talk about the bowl game. Talk about Will Wade losing his Rudy Poo-ness on the sidelines because he's got a team 11-0. If there's a real issue, fine, talk about it. You don't have it yet. When Derek Stingley Jr. is getting paid close to $500,000 in a public records request from United Airlines, then you start telling me we have problems. But do your research. You know, today, and we'll get to the coordinators right after this. Today, from a fan perspective, I said, if you want to know more about Brian Kelly and his offense and things that you can expect going into the 2022 season, watch these 2 games. Watch as many games as I could of Notre Dame over the last 2 seasons. One was Cincinnati from this year where they lost. The reason they lost was not offensively. Had some turnovers, but young quarterbacks doing stupid things. So technically, I guess you could say deep down, is it offense? Maybe, but missing wide open receivers, getting hit in the pocket, whatever. Then I said go watch 2020, the first game between Notre Dame and Clemson. The first 5 comments. So we broke those games down, can tell you what Brian Kelly wants to do on offense just to make sure that we're saying exactly what we need to say. And here's the first 5 comments that I had on Twitter when I posted. What kind of offense does he run? Mind you, I just said, guys, go watch this. Second one was, what is this really supposed to mean? Third one, are you telling me he doesn't run a spread offense? Number 4, Blake, what kind of offense is this? Number 5, Blake, he doesn't say Blake, but he says, what are you trying to tell us? Sometimes you got to read a little bit more than what's actually on Twitter. If I say, hey, or a social media post, hey, guys, go watch these games to find out what we're going to do. And then when you don't do it, don't blame anybody else. Because I guarantee you there's not a Rudy Poo person who covers LSU that watches more film than me, maybe outside of Carter Bryant from the Power Hour. Nobody. All right. Now we got to get to coordinators. All right. Now we got to get to coordinators. So if you've missed it since Wednesday, we talked about Wednesday that the central thing from the offensive. Oh, by the way, before we talk about coordinators, everybody do us a favor. We're about 25 minutes in. Do us a favor by hitting a like and share. Share to your Facebook groups. We greatly appreciate it. If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Ding. So let's talk about coordinators and staff. So today, Jacob Flint, the new strength and conditioning coach, did bring on more members of his staff, Xavier Gooden being one of them, just to make sure that we're all on the same page here. They also brought in Kyle Seeger, associate strength coach Sean Falcone, and Xavier Gooden. So they are starting to fill out some of these coaching vacancies and coaching spots. Now, what everybody wants to know is about the coordinators. Now, Matt House and Mike Denbrock have been reported by Football Scoop to be the 2 guys that LSU's targeting. Now, Mike Denbrock, the offensive coordinator at Cincinnati, has really been the lead guy. Let's just say over the last at least 2 weeks. At least 2 weeks, Mike Denbrock, who has a lot of connections to Brian Kelly at Grand Valley State and Notre Dame, even calling plays at Notre Dame, has been, for some, the heads-on favorite for that position. Now, The Athletic is reporting Justin Williams of The Athletic, who covers the Cincinnati Bearcats, says, and I'm quoting, there is no agreement in place right now or any kind of formal discussions between LSU, Brian Kelly, and Mike Denbrock. Well, now Football Scoop over the weekend is saying that Mike Denbrock did have conversations and expect him to be the no offensive coordinator. So what do we know? I'm not calling Justin Williams a liar. Okay? But from the LSU side, there has been conversations with Mike Denbrock. Too much smoke, too much of him being the single name out there for there never to be in a conversation. That's just a stone cold lie. Now, what's interesting here is now it does seem like Mike Denbrock is somewhat trying to distance himself from Brian Kelly and LSU. Now, why would he do that? Number one, they're in a playoff game and you don't want distractions. We literally just talked about distractions bringing programs and coaches down. Like, there's nothing, no question about that. The other thing is that Mike Denbrock and Brian Kelly did technically fire Mike Denbrock a couple of seasons ago. So I wonder how much bad blood there is there. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But the interesting part in all of this, for me is there has been a name out there that has been relatively quiet, and what I know, and something that we kind of started reporting early on, it's Georgia offensive coordinator Todd Monken. Now, Todd Monken has been a guy who was a wide receivers coach at LSU. He was, been an offensive coordinator with the Browns, been an offensive coordinator, obviously now at Georgia, but has connections with Brian Kelly going all the way back to Grand Valley State. Now, I do wonder if those two guys are the main targets at this exact moment, because it seems as if you have two sides saying different things. You got the LSU side believing that Mike Denbrock is going to be the guy, and now the Cincinnati side is reporting that they had formal conversations. Well, they had informal conversations, if that's the way that you want to report it and characterize it then. And to flip on the other side of the ball, and we're going to get to comments here, but to flip on the other side of the ball is Matt House. Now, Matt House is the linebackers coach for the Kansas City Chiefs, was formerly the defensive coordinator at Kentucky. And talking to some people around Kentucky, they really, really, really like Matt House. For whatever reason, differences came amongst one another between Matt House and Mark Stoops, and he was let go and then went to Kansas City. From everybody that I talked to, now I've not broken down Kentucky football from 2018 at great length, but I could tell you his base is he wants to be a multiple front guy, 3-4 guy, coach inside linebackers, bring pressure, I want to say play man-to-man, but he definitely wants to mix in man-to-man and zone into his defensive scheme and wants his linebackers to fly around. Now, I've been needing to sneeze ever since the beginning of this show started. So if I sneeze, excuse me. Matt House is an interesting name. Now, something that I know and I feel to be a constant now, whether it happens or not, is that there is a big thought process and something to the core of Brian Kelly and this staff that he wants to hire at least one coordinator that has SEC experience. Now, if that's the case, Mike Denbrock is not one of those guys. So you'll have to go defensive. If he is the guy, you're going to have to bring in a defensive coordinator that has SEC experience, because Denbrock does not. So very interesting turn of events here. But we'll see. We'll see. All right, let's get to some comments here. So a little update on the coordinators. So I feel like, before we get to these comments, you know what I feel like? I feel like some stuff's about to start popping down. I feel like we might get here Wednesday and we start hearing some really good stuff. It's a thought, it's a feeling. So on Monday, 12/20 at 7:32 p.m. Remember, Blake Ruffinos told you maybe Wednesday or Thursday I'm going to start. I feel like we might get some stuff. Just me. We'll see, though. Sam on Facebook says, LSU fans have too much time invested in what LSU doing. LSU really don't care what they say or think or saying. Well, your players do, Sam. Your players do. Steven says, Blake, I enjoy your show. I really do. But can you cut back on the cussing a little bit? Not trying to be any type of way, just asking as a fan of a show. Sure. Lamar Williams says he definitely in for a rude awakening. I cuss too much. I cuss too little. I cuss too much. I cuss too little. Marvin Mackey says, what happened? What I missed? Come on, Marvin. Stay up with it, brother. Stay up. Brett Garofalo says, hashtag Ask Blake, preach Reverend Rufino. I've never been called Reverend. Oh. Never been called Reverend. Let's see. Sean says, I agree, Blake. LSU fans are toxic to a fault. Well, it's not so much the fans as fans are fans. You need to let fans do what they do, because fans will be on the highest highs with you and the lowest lows, and they'll be in the medium sometimes. The problem is that we gotta be really honest with one another about what's going on. Like I keep hearing Bryce Young just got $1 million NIL deal. Well, I've never seen him in a commercial. I've never seen him sponsoring stuff. I know he's got his own podcast and he has some sponsors there, but I've never, I mean, unless I'm going nuts, where is it? Now, I'm not saying he doesn't have anything. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that he doesn't have $1 million deal. I'm sure he does. That's a quarterback at Alabama. Now, something that's interesting too here, if Jimbo Fisher is walking inside the houses of recruits and selling them NIL deals, that's a grade 1 NCAA violation. So all this shit that everybody keeps talking about, Will Wade, FBI wiretap, you're doing the same type of infraction. Schools and coaches aren't supposed to be selling NIL deals. So if it's true and LSU technically is behind, so you mean to tell me that LSU's not going out there breaking the rules? Now that recruiting has been toxic and ugly and a cesspool for years. And why, honestly, we source out our recruiting. Now, that doesn't mean we don't get recruiting tips, and that doesn't mean we're not going to say what we know about things going on in recruiting. But you want to talk about the cesspool that is college football, it is recruiting. So are we reporting that Jimbo Fisher and Nick Saban are going into houses breaking NCAA violations? Is that what we're saying? You got Jimbo Fisher going out there and saying NIL deals have been going on for a long time. It just hadn't been legal. And we think what's crazy to me is do we really believe that Frank Wilson, everybody was so excited when Frank Wilson came back to LSU. You mean to tell me that kid wouldn't want a Denver Harris? You know what, guys? LSU doesn't want to play ball. They don't want 5-star talent. You're right. What the hell do I know? What in the hell do I know? Ann Clark on Facebook says, do you think Matt House would leave NFL for college? If it's for a defensive coordinator at LSU, you damn skippy. You damn skippy. Jacob Hibbert says, hashtag Ask Blake, any chance Wake Forest's OC could be looked at? Yeah, I'm going to tell you, I'm not a huge fan, man. I know his resume is impressive, but I think his offense kind of throws me for a whack a little bit. We'll see. But if LSU is holding off the way that they are, man, it seems to tell me that they got something up. I don't think – it feels as a lot of people think that Brian Kelly is sitting in his office not doing anything. That's the vibe that I get from LSU fans. That's the vibe I get from a lot of people, is that Brian Kelly's just sitting in football ops twiddling his thumbs. It's just not true, man. It's just not true. Jack Davis says, can Matt House bring the honey badger with him to play safety? God, I wish. I wish. I wish. Chad says, keep that cussing. I love it. Therese says, do you? You're fine. Go, Blake. Ryan says, you can never please everyone. True. True. You know who is pleasing everybody is Will Wade. Wow, we'll get more into basketball season as basketball season gets more into us. Now, I know that they're about to get into the SEC and they're undefeated. They're the highest ranked that they've been since, 2006. So sure, we'll get into it. We'll talk about it. You want to talk about it? We'll talk about it. But guys, as we're searching for two staff members for LSU football, all else takes a back seat. Doesn't mean I'm not watching it. Doesn't mean I'm not going to root for them like my life depends on it. But yeah, I saw it. Gerald says touchdown, Justin Jefferson. Dude, that dude's just unreal, bro. Justin Jefferson's just unreal. Shay Allen on YouTube says hashtag ask Blake. Blake, we all know the media hates LSU. They're the one stirring the shit pot to create strife and drama, and will continue to do so. The problem is just, it's yours, right? Like, it's yours, and we allow it to not be checked. Everybody raise their hands in here if they know a specific NIL deal that Texas A&M gave players individually. Because if that's the case, then it's a grade 1 recruiting violation. Please, sweet baby Jesus, up above, give it to me, because I'll report them myself. I will report them myself. Everything that goes on right now is empty promises to those kids. You want to start hearing some really bad shit? Let me tell you what's about to happen. And you remember this day, and Blake Rufino told you this, because all of you older people, and I say older people, people that have jobs, my age, my parents' age, grandparents' age, whatever, you all know this to be factual because you've been in business, because you've been in the real world. Boosters and coaches will lie to get you in that door. Now, are they promising them NIL deals, or have they gotten them? Because in the state of Texas, you can't have it. High school kids cannot have NIL deals until they're enrolled and step foot on that campus. So, are they promising kids deals, or are they actually giving it to them? Now, we all know that money flies in recruiting underneath the table. That's fine. But you best damn believe that in business and in sales, this happens all the time. You think that you're about to have a deal, and right before it happens, the rug comes up underneath that deal, from underneath that deal. And you don't have your deal, and you're stuck there, and the people who's supposed to be doing the deal with you pulls out. Business is business, though, right? If you think that stuff's not about to start happening, so kids would sign NIL deals to a specific school, and maybe they were promised $100,000, but maybe they're getting $20,000 now, you're outside your damn box. And then what's going to happen is this. They're going to say, hey, Jimbo and them told me I was going to get $100,000, and I only got 15 or 20 because they said I needed to make a little bit more. I got to wait a little bit longer. And then they told me it's over 5-year span, $20,000 a year. I like it, but they lied to me. That's going to happen. Anthony Hall says, hashtag ask Blake, what's up with Durante Jones? Guys have been, and I don't mean this to Anthony, but we've been, I mean, I don't know. It's like the same thing with Jake Peets. Now, I've been trying to say to this, and I guess it just doesn't stick in people's heads. I don't expect Durante Jones to be back. Now, I expect him to just coach the bowl game, and maybe you demote him at most, but I don't think that that's going to happen. I think he will look elsewhere. I think he'll look elsewhere. Courtney says, poor Blake, he's just trying so hard. Sometimes you just can't argue with total idiots, my friend. I don't know who I'm arguing with. Pan Jones says, hashtag ask Blake, keep being you have already deleted 4 LSU sites due to all the BS. There you go. Wesley says, you're just passionate about what you do. That we are. Pooh Bear says, hashtag ask Blake, when you say older people, you mean prune juice and Rolade smoothies. Oh, man. Alejandro, my good friend Alejandro Escobar, I believe his son got engaged this weekend. Do you, young king? But he says the Louisiana wide receivers running to Tuscaloosa. That they are. It's Justin Jefferson is scoring touchdowns on Monday Night Football. Everybody do us a favor by hitting the like and share. The mayor on YouTube says there's a back door, Blake, transfer portal. Absolutely. Absolutely. Ray Giacone says, any chance Florida's former coach to be ROC? Dan Mullen, no, man. I think that would just be a bad, I just think that would be a bad mixture. It's like mixing Rolaids and Coca-Cola. It's just gonna fizz up, and if you turn the top too hard, it's gonna explode. So, man, no, not really. And I'm surprised that I wouldn't be surprised if he winds up at Alabama as an analyst, to be honest. Rick says nobody knows a thing about NIL deals going down. No, they don't. And I really do wish. I really, really, really do wish that somebody at Texas A&M, I really, if that's the case, I hope that somebody tells me or shows me, because I swear to God, I'll file a formal complaint on Texas A&M in Texas. Please, God, let me find that out. I hear things just like everybody else. Also hear the LSU and boosters do the same exact thing. Oh, but wait, Blake, we're falling so far behind. Oh, shit. Oh, wait, we didn't. I'll tell you this. Ain't nobody at LSU saying that they fall behind and they ain't playing the game. I'm on one tonight. Yeah, you're damn right I am, because I'm tired of it. When I'm supposed, like last night, I'm supposed to be sitting there watching the Saints bring it to smack it down on Tom Brady's candy ass, and we got to sit back here and say, guys, relax. 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 The most exhausting thing about this damn job, the most exhausting thing, is having to calm everybody down. I feel like I'm the damn parent to the LSU fan base sometimes. Calm down. Thank God I got experience of being a parent. Mac Norwood says, I wonder if BK is listening to this shit. Either you talking about our podcast or are you talking about all the stuff outside? Probably not. He probably don't even know where to go. And he ain't got a Derek Panamsky in there to tell him what the media is saying. Oh, the big man media is telling you, where's your Ron? Coach Ed. Matt Moscona said you're a Rudy Poo. Dilly on YouTube says, #ask Blake, how big of a risk is waiting for the NFL season to be over with, waiting on House, meaning if he's not 100% on board? I don't think it's that big of a deal. And I don't know why you can't make that known now. Like there's some things I don't understand why they can't let it be known now. I mean, being the linebackers coach at Kansas City isn't, he ain't going to be the DC nowhere. So why can't he be named the LSU defensive coordinator and get through the recruiting process, and then you go from there? Like that part I don't understand. Now, I still do believe we're going to get some stuff over the next couple of days. Like I really do believe that. Speaking of the NFL, and look, we're supposed to be looking into Kansas State too, so we'll do that, and then we'll look into the Saints. Look, Saints they don't have a quarterback. I love Taysom Hill. I think he's a good player. I think he's a good athlete. But Taysom Hill is Rudy Poo, man, as a quarterback. He'll make one good splash play, and then he'll turn right around and look like garbage. You got to go get a quarterback if you want to win it all. They have to. They have the defense, and that defense is going to hold up for long. Pieces are going to move on. You're not going to be able to pay everybody. So there you go. You got to go get a quarterback. I wanted to look into Kansas State a little bit. Look, we've said this. We've said this, okay? And I want to make this do we have something here? I don't think so. Alejandro. No. I thought we had some info. Maybe we don't. Nope, not really info. Okay. Just making sure. Richard says Blake's your daddy. Well, I wanted to look at this in Kansas State, but it's like Gerald says here, you can't handle the truth. Some people just can't handle the truth. Look, Neil Farrell opted out today, and we, it kind of bit the right hand kind of bit on the wall. Damone Clark is not going to be playing in the bowl game. Those guys are going to be getting ready for the Senior Bowl, so on and so forth. Look, guys, I don't really know, and please understand this. I really hope LSU fans aren't if we go in and win this game on January 4th against Kansas State, I'll be more happy than anybody. Don't get me wrong. I'll be happier than anybody. The problem is, man, I just don't think LSU has the depth to defensively to stop them. I just don't. I feel like this is the UCF bowl game all over again without Joe Burrow, with a walk-on quarterback. That's exactly how I feel. I'm not saying LSU can't win it. I'm not saying they're not trying to win it. What I'm saying is, man, you got a lot of starters that are out. Derek Stingley hadn't been in football ops in over 4 weeks. Elias Ricks is going to Alabama. Neil Farrell's not playing. Mason Smith's coming back from injury. Ali Gay's not going to be there. Damone Clark's not going to be there. You're going to have a lot of young guys that got to step up. You're going to start a true freshman walk-on quarterback. You got Austin Deculus. We're going to wait for his decision. Is he going to start? You got some offensive linemen that are banged up. Can they come back? Liam Shanahan's going to be there. Does Ty Davis Price play? Does he opt out, get ready for the bowl game? I mean, there's so much going on. So the more that we look into this, and I want to, and I've said this on Twitter Spaces a lot, and I want to say it here. I don't think people fully understand how bad Orgeron left this roster. Guys, this roster is depleted. I don't want to hear your purple and gold. Put on your purple and gold glasses. I don't want to hear all of that bullshit. What I want to tell you is this roster is depleted. So you're going to have to go in the transfer portal and all that. So if you're the guy who's so worried about kids opting out, which it's not your money to be worrying about, why we look at everybody else's money, I don't understand. Regardless, Damone Clark and Neil Farrell and some of these guys have absolutely nothing to prove to you. Nothing. As LSU fans, they got nothing to prove to you. For a bowl game, that means not jack shit. So I'm not going into this game against Kansas State expecting anything. Only thing I'm expecting and hoping is that they go out there and play hard. I know that's the old cliche. I hope the boys just go out there and play hard. I don't want Neil Farrell to opt out. I want him to play, but I understand it, and I appreciate what he's done here. But there's more things for them as an individual that it's going to happen than worrying about the damn Texas Bowl. So everybody worrying about and freaking about opt-outs, you ain't got a couple $1 million on the line. To some of these kids, you don't have Damone Clark, God forbid he goes in the first round. That's generational wealth. Some of these guys getting paid $12 to $15 million. Guys, that's generational wealth. And he'll continue to play. $15 million can, if it don't last my kids, my grandkids, they got a damn thing coming for them. Anyway, Kansas State ain't that good neither. They're not good at all. They're not good at all. Like they're honestly, they're not good. Truth is, neither are you. Chad says, let's see what's up for the next year's players, next man up. Yeah, I'm ready to see what's going on with a lot of these younger kids. I'm ready to see what happens with these younger D linemen, these linebackers, these corners, these safeties. I want to see Sage Ryan get in there. I want to see Greg Penn get in there. I want to see Savion Jones get in there. I want to see Marlon Martinez play more. I want to see what Dumerville can do at right tackle. There's a lot of kids I want to see play. And look, it might not be pretty all the time, but shit, I want to see them. They need the reps. Wesley Nettle says, if you wave $100,000 in front of an 18-year-old kid who has struggled most of their life, they are biting. The problem is that you think that LSU's not doing it. Not you, Wesley. You get what I mean. Lucas says, I think the Blake Baker leaving is showing that Kelly already got his guy and bringing in their guys. Maybe. And look, that's a big loss. But you got to bring in your staff. You can't let anybody dictate to you who to bring in your staff because they're not dealing with them on a day-in, day-out basis. The mayor says, Blake, LSU's winning this one. Brad Davis leading the march. Guys, I hope so. But you're starting a true freshman walk-on quarterback. Whether it be the Tavion Falk or Matt O'Dowd. Maybe the NCAA grants Garrett Nussmeier his red shirt and can play in the bowl game, which they should do it, but I'm not holding my breath. All right. Got some things to do around the house. So we'll end tonight's show, but we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We need to get some guests in here, and we will do that. All right, we'll see you guys later. Peace out, Girl Scouts.